What's up, everybody? This is the Sports League Podcast, back for another week. I'm your host, Alex League. We got Dean back on the show. Dean, good to have you back on. A
Yeah,
couple weeks
thanks.
not being on. Good to have you.
Thanks, Alex. It's good to be with you.
Absolutely. And we're winding down on the college football season. We got conference championships coming up this weekend, and it's been an incredible season, but man, it went by fast, huh?
Well, way too fast. I don't know. I guess it's like everything else. You do something or involved with something you enjoy, the time flies.
Yep.
And that's what it's doing.
And next year will be a little bit better because then we get the 12 team playoff and that will extend it a little bit longer, right?
Yeah, that'll be a few more weeks left after the regular season. So, yeah,
Yeah.
there'll be a lot of interest in a lot of ways.
Yep. Absolutely. So yeah, let's get started on this conversation here. So let's start with Ole Miss, Mississippi State. Ole Miss 10-2 beats Mississippi State. How are you seeing Ole Miss in the picture here in the SEC?
Ole Miss is a contender.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't think anybody in the SEC really is that concerned about them. Um,
Yeah,
I
two
don't think
losses.
anyone expects them to do any better than they did this year.
Yeah, but always a tough game against Mississippi State. Good job, getting
Yes.
the win. Um, but the SEC is very top heavy with
Yeah.
Georgia and Bama. I mean,
You're
it's going
right.
to be
Yes.
yeah. And I can't wait for that game. How do you see that potentially going? Do you think Bama can beat Georgia going into the playoffs? And really, I've heard a lot of people say if Bama beats Georgia, then Bama should go to the playoff.
Well, I think the committee has a pretty easy job so far.
Yeah,
The top four they got are the undefeated teams.
yeah,
I mean, how tough is that, really?
yeah. That works out pretty nice for them.
Yeah, that was very fortunate for them. But um, what do they do if Bama does beat Georgia?
Yeah,
And what if they do? What if Oregon beats Washington and Louisville beats Florida State and
yeah,
even Iowa somehow beats Michigan?
yeah.
What would they do then? I'm hoping for it.
Yeah, I would actually love to see that.
I would too. But right now, I mean, the top four are, I think, more or less agreed to. You know, they're undefeated. Okay, they're in there. Although the numbers didn't agree with that.
Yeah, what do you make of that? So Numbers has Ohio State at 4 and Florida State at 5. A one-loss Ohio State above an undefeated Florida State. How do you see that? Do you like that?
Actually, it didn't surprise me. I think the numbers rewarded uh, Ohio State for a quality loss.
Yeah.
I mean, they dropped them, what, 6 spots or something like that.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
Uh,
it's crazy.
I mean, I mean, you almost pulled that game off, but you didn't.
Yeah.
And so I feel the pollsters really punished Ohio State
Yeah.
and dropped them way down there to what, 6 or something like that?
Yeah, dropped them 4 spots down to 6 behind Oregon.
Behind Oregon. And Oregon, who'd they lose to?
Washington, right?
Washington.
Yeah.
Which quality loss is better?
Yeah.
I'm just saying, the numbers are looking at what has really happened. and and not just looking at their record.
So, do you think the numbers is on to something? Like, do you think? I mean, it's easy to see Jordan. I mean, it sucks to see Jordan Travis go down for Florida State. That's a big loss, and that puts a shadow over Florida State trying to get in, right? Because that might mean one of the four playoff teams is with a backup quarterback. Is that something that if they go undefeated, put them in regardless, or do you think the backup quarterback factors in there? What do you think?
Well, sure, it factors in there.
Yeah,
Absolutely, yeah. I think that they're a step back
yeah,
because of the quarterback situation, and I don't know if whoever they played that Florida State would be favored. I mean, they're
yeah,
only favored by 2.5 now against Louisville,
yep.
so that tells you a lot right there.
I think there's a chance Louisville could beat them too.
Absolutely, I think they can.
Yeah,
So yeah, I mean, I don't know. The numbers just they respect the play, and
yep,
that's really what. And of course, that the numbers move Michigan up on top, and the people who are into this voting and studying and putting things together, they're so stuck on the teams
yeah,
that I mean, look, you see who Georgia beat,
yeah,
Georgia Tech. Come on,
yep. Well,
and Michigan beat Ohio State.
yeah, and Penn State and some pretty good talent along the way. But I think, I mean, it's going to be Georgia's going to get a true test this weekend, though. And that's the interesting thing with Georgia is routinely they've allowed teams to get up on them, right? I mean,
Yeah,
Auburn had an early lead on them, even threatened them. I forget who else.
It was
Um,
Missouri.
yeah, Missouri, and then another team recently. Was it Tennessee or
Yeah,
you know?
I don't recall exactly, no, but I know those two were.
Yeah. And if they mess around, that's how you beat Georgia. Is if they keep relying on this second half comeback, get down and trust that they can come back in the playoffs. That could come back to bite them, and it could come back to bite them in the SEC championship game as well.
Yes, it could. I mean, Alabama's the second half team too.
And being out there in Auburn, where you're at, watching that Auburn Alabama Iron Bowl, that had to be a really fun watch for you. And I thought Auburn had them beat. I cannot believe that throw by Jalen Milrow.
Yeah, I think everybody in the stands and everybody watching really felt that with Auburn having the ball, that it was over. We'd run out the clock. We would just, you know, that it was over
Yeah.
basically, or literally felt was over. Because if you had to punt, they would be, have a long ways to go, and they probably wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
But I mean, kudos to talent.
Yeah.
Um, Alabama made the perfect play when they had to.
Do you think that was bad defense? Do you think you got to have more guys back there? You can't allow a one-on-one in that position, right?
Exactly. Yeah, that was poor. If you're
Yeah.
if you're going to drop, 8 guys, make sure you got all the receivers doubled,
Yeah.
all of them.
Yeah.
You can't leave anybody out there one on one.
And I think the plan was to double everyone, and I think the safety, whoever was deep back there, kind of got tricked. Maybe Milrow used his eyes or what, and then he got rid of the ball so quickly. He got the ball there before the help could come as well, right?
Yeah, I mean, again, it was a perfect throw in a perfect
Yeah,
situation. You could do that play another 1,000 times, and you probably wouldn't get that results.
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
that was impossible, and the game was over.
yeah. that
But
would have been that would have been crazy and such a big win for Auburn too. And it's funny how almost every year the Iron Bowl is one of those games where crazy stuff just happens all the time.
yeah, especially when it's played in Auburn.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
credit to Auburn, man. They played Georgia very well. They played Alabama. They almost had Alabama beat. Like Auburn, isn't there yet. They didn't have the season they wanted to have at 6-6. But man, did they play up to their potential at times very well, right?
they were an up and down team. Obviously, their talent doesn't compare with these other two teams,
Yeah,
but they were up for those games,
yeah.
and they were ready to play those games. I
That's
mean,
just a fun team to watch when like we shouldn't have a shot in this game, but I just have a feeling we're gonna play hard and we're gonna find ourselves in this game when we shouldn't, right?
right?
Yeah,
Yeah, I
that's
think
what I.
if you keep the game close for as long as into the fourth quarter, you tend to believe,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah,
And but that was a huge play for Alabama, and it was just a gut punch to the Tigers. Yeah,
yeah,
the we always look back and we remember the kick six,
yeah,
and that was our big thing. And I don't know. I guess this is going to be the 31 and goal. Like now, I mean,
yeah,
actually threw it 40 yards, not just 30 some.
yeah.
But that's going to be an Alabama highlight for a long time.
And it looked like what was it was a bad snap, right? That put them all the way back there. It looked like that was going to cost them the game and pretty much their
Yes,
season. Yeah,
yeah, it was over, Alex. The game was over. I mean, I don't know how this happened,
yeah,
but that's the game. I mean, things like this happens all the time, and you just got to play all the way through. If there's time on the clock, you got to be playing.
yeah. And it would be crazy if Alabama can use this to their favor, right? Like they should have been beat. Their season should have been over. Jalen Milroe makes an absolute special play to save the season. And what if they use that as positive momentum and beat Georgia, and then they've got all the momentum going into the playoffs as well. Like you just beat the best team in the country according to, the two-time defending champs, right?
Yeah, I don't know what their mindset will be. If I don't know. If I think if I was an Alabama player or fan, I'd be saying, boy, we were sure we're lucky.
Yeah.
And I don't know that I would take any of that feeling into the next game because they didn't play Alabama football.
Yeah. Well, sometimes that's how it works though. Sometimes you just have luck on your side, right? Um,
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
Even when you don't play your best ball, sometimes it just works out. Do you like I mean, I've always kind of liked Jalen Milroe's potential. Do you think that he is capable? I mean, that throw was so special. I think he's capable of carrying, this team and going further than people think as well. Like if the chips fall in their favor, Jalen Milroe isn't a weakness, right?
Oh no, he's an asset, no question about it.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yes. Um,
Yeah.
I don't know what it is about Alabama. They're in the last few years, they have had very high quality quarterbacks who,
Yeah.
who carried them all the way through the season.
Yeah.
And this kid's doing the same thing.
And if you think back earlier in the season, we thought it was a weakness. They benched him.
Yeah.
Remember for Buckner and the other guy, and then they go back to Milroe, and he's been playing great ever since. And it's crazy how much can change in a single season.
It is, isn't it? Yeah,
Yeah.
one little decision here and there, and it makes the season positive or negative. So,
And that's, I think you look at how much success Nick Saban has had, and it's like he just gets the benefit of the doubt, right? Whatever he does seems to more often than not work. And he pulls the right strings, and he gets his players to buy in, and credit to him. And honestly, I kind of find myself rooting for Bama in the SEC championship game. Are you rooting for Georgia, or do you not really care? Or are you watching it just as a college football fan, hoping for good football?
um, of course, I'll watch it, um,
Yeah,
but I can't say that I want either one of them to win. If they could both lose, I would be happy.
yeah. If they tie,
But obviously that's not going to happen.
yeah,
So I don't know. I'm interested to see. I'm just interested to see the game, see what happens.
yeah,
I would like to see. The only reason why I would prefer Bama to win is to screw everything up.
yeah. Absolutely. Do you think if Bama wins, could you see? I mean, that should put Bama in. What's the scenario for Ohio State to get in? Is it pretty unlikely?
No, they're out. They're already put out of it.
Really?
There's nothing they can do now.
That's crazy.
I mean, if Michigan loses, you're going to put in Ohio State.
It's crazy
They
because
lost to them,
that's such a quality loss though, and they were in that game. It was a hard fought game. It was a great game.
right? I mean, I agree. I mean, the numbers would probably put them in,
Yeah.
but I don't think the committee will. There'd have to
Wow.
probably be a couple of them that lose, or for Ohio State to get in. They're,
And
they're
Texas,
favoring Texas and Oregon, you know, above them, above.
wow.
So,
That's crazy. So Texas still has a shot, you think?
pardon?
You think Texas still has a chance?
Yeah, pretty slight.
Yeah, that'd be cool to see.
But like I said, if the undefeated teams, all of them lose, anything can happen.
Yeah,
And then I would say, yeah, you got Texas and Ohio State, and Oregon, and Bama all right there,
yeah,
right in the thick of it. I wouldn't
yeah.
want to be the committee deciders if that was the case.
Yeah, it'll be so much more difficult if all of them lose.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. How about I mean, it's crazy. I can't wait. How about Oregon Washington? That's going to be an absolute great game, a rematch from a really good game earlier this year. Um, do you think either team has an advantage here? I mean, they're talking about whichever quarterback wins and plays best has a real shot at winning the Heisman too.
Yeah. Yeah. Both of them do actually have a shot at it yet. In this game, we'll move one of them up or down.
Yeah.
Um, if I see the odds makers, they actually have Oregon favored.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if Oregon won. They're so evenly matched, it kind of would make sense, right?
Yeah, I think they're, but it's almost like 10 points. I mean, that's an awful lot.
Yeah.
Um, so I don't know. I think it's going to be a close ball game.
Yeah, there's gonna be so many good games. How about Michigan 3 in a row now over Ohio State? Ohio State used to, you know, before this run, Ohio State was kind of dominating it. Now Michigan 3 in a row, and Ryan Day and Ohio State is, and their fans are so upset that they can't beat Michigan right now, and a big statement win for Michigan as well.
Yeah, their coach is in the same boat that Harbaugh was.
Yeah,
You know, I mean, they almost got rid of him because they couldn't beat Ohio State.
yeah,
So now Day is in the same spot.
yeah,
I mean, that's really the key to those two organizations is beating those each other.
yeah.
That's what it's all about. That's their whole
I
secret.
love it too. Yeah, I like it. It's you don't mess around. You don't hide anything. You don't say, "Oh, well, we can have a good season and it doesn't really matter." No, the goal is we hate each other so much. The goal is to beat each other. Like pretty much end of story, right?
Yeah, I think the teams both sides would accept a loss as long as it wasn't that one team.
Yeah, yeah,
You know, I mean, but if you lose a game to if Michigan or Ohio State lose to one another, your season is uh, it's lost.
yeah,
I mean, you're going to be down the whole summer.
yeah,
You know, you're just going to be distraught. But you know, that's what rivalries are about. I mean, that's one of the biggest ones in the nation.
yeah, absolutely. Um, yeah. So looking ahead, let's see. Let's go to the conference championship week here. So Friday night, Oregon, Washington, 8 o'clock on ABC. That's going to be must-watch football.
Yeah,
Um, Texas, Oklahoma State is going to be good. I expect Texas to take care of business there and give themselves a shot. I think Oregon, Washington. I think I'm going to pick Oregon there. I really am. I think Oregon. I mean, yeah, 9.5 points are their favored. That is a little surprising for sure.
yeah,
But
but it's a neutral site,
yeah,
so that helps. It doesn't give anyone a up at all.
and the last game, the first meeting was in Washington, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So,
I, obviously either team can win. They're both quality teams, but I do think that Oregon has just a bit more to offer
yeah.
than Washington does.
And you think the winner goes to the playoff?
What was that again?
You think the winner of that game is in the playoff and the loser's out?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
So,
yes, I do.
so much riding on that game. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's like the playoffs have already started, right? I mean, you
Yeah,
know,
it's an extension. These championship games are playoff games.
yeah.
You know, they'll get you in or kick you out.
Yeah. So that's going to be a great game. Georgia, Bama, excellent game. Um, I'm I I think Bama might win this. I really do, and I've been saying it since when we did our season preview. Uh, I guaranteed that Georgia's not going to three-peat. I don't think it's possible. Georgia's got to prove it to me, right? I don't think it's possible in the modern era of college football for a team to three-peat. Like Bama's had teams capable of it. USC had a team capable of it, but
Yeah,
it's just too competitive, too much parity. And ultimately, eventually, you look at Ohio State should have beat Georgia last year in the playoff.
yeah,
Um, it wouldn't surprise me at all. I'm going to be rooting for Bama, and it wouldn't surprise me at all if Bama wins this.
yeah. You got the. I think the bottom line is that these two teams know each other very, very well.
Yeah,
So there's nothing that's going to be a surprise.
yeah,
Um, I mean, I think they may have to get out the trick plays at some
yeah,
time or another, but I don't think that they're going to be caught off guard. They're going to be prepared for everything. And I mean, it's only 5.5 point spread. So, you know,
And I think Bama has the better quarterback too, in
you,
my opinion.
you said what?
I think Bama has the better quarterback as well.
Yes. Oh, no doubt. I agree.
Yeah.
And that's always huge in my mind as a quarterback.
Yeah.
He's got them believing, you know, I mean,
Yeah.
after last week, I mean, I'm sure they believe that they're destined.
Yeah. Um, and actually a pretty good game uh in the American Conference, SMU against Tulane. It's actually a fun competitive matchup there as well.
Yes, it is. I know nobody talks about some of these other teams,
Yeah.
but you know, when you've got um, not got results that's not really blemished that much,
Yeah.
that means they're pretty good teams. Um, so that would be it's going to be an interesting game, and again, I think either one of those can win that too.
Yeah, and I wonder how it's going to work next year. I'm thinking ahead, and I see an undefeated Liberty battling for the Conference USA championship. I
Yeah,
see a one-loss Tulane battling for the American, and I know they're ranked 22 and 24, but I'm just saying if Liberty goes undefeated, they have to be in the playoffs next year. When it goes to 12 teams, you have to put an undefeated Liberty in there. And I'd love to see a one-loss Tulane in there as well. I mean, I guess it depends how many good one-loss teams there are, but I want to see more of these teams like Tulane and Liberty actually get a shot. And I mean, how much fun would it be like Liberty against Georgia, right?
yeah. I mean, you got to believe that that would be at least an interesting matchup, if nothing else.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's suit them up and let's see what happens.
Yeah. I mean,
Sure.
chances are Georgia's going to beat them and probably blow them out. But I mean, the big question is the what if, right?
Yes. And that's just it. You know, there's the big conferences have all the glory and they have all the respect and all the notoriety, and they're the ones that are supposed to win all the games. These other conferences are not considered on
Yeah.
the same level.
Yeah.
So it doesn't mean that they're not. I think that's just a perspective of football.
Yeah.
But there's a lot less respect for these other conferences, and there's some pretty good teams that I
Yeah.
would love to see matched up with some of our so-called, big guys.
Yep. It's like that national media arrogance, right? And you see that come into play all the time, whether it's college or even the pro game, where the national media will just assume and tell you, no, this is the better team. This is the better team. We're not even going to talk about that other team, and then they get beat, right? And so that's why you want to see the opportunity.
Yes. Yeah. Prove it on the field,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think with the
Um,
expansion, you could get some teams like that in there, which is really going to be an enjoyable watch.
Absolutely. And even if it's not Liberty or Tulane pulling off the upsets, it could easily be like a 9 seed or an 8 seed like Texas
Yes. Yeah.
or, any one of these teams that can pull off an upset at any time for sure.
And I think they will. I think there'll be some shakeups when you get to that many teams in there.
Yeah.
You know,
Um,
any given Saturday, anything can happen.
any chance in your mind that Iowa can stun Michigan in the Big Ten? Like they put all their effort in to beat Ohio State and they won, and now maybe they take a breath and they take their foot off the gas a little bit? Any chance there?
Again, you're dealing with young men,
Yeah,
um, but Harbaugh will be back in
yeah,
charge, and I don't. I see Michigan being prepared. Now Iowa plays pretty tough defense. It,
yep,
it seems that they do, but they're not scoring anything.
yeah,
I don't know how Michigan can't just go out there and goof around and win the game.
yeah. Scored just enough, right?
Yeah, I don't know that. I think the 21 and a half points is probably realistic.
And it's so cruel that Cade McNamara doesn't get to play against his former team. That would be such a good storyline.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
Yeah, and it would make Iowa more competitive too.
Yeah.
But um, instead it will be Deacon Hill. And yeah, I think Michigan finds a way to win it. I mean, they might win easily, but Iowa does have a good defense. Um,
Yeah,
but
I don't know that
Michigan,
the 21 points is probably, I mean, that's a spread, but, that may not be that many points scored,
yeah,
but I don't see Michigan not scoring enough.
yeah, yeah, 21 seems high, but they'll probably still win by 2 scores at least.
Yeah.
I would think so. Um, I mean, who do you think? I mean, because I know you're not happy with Georgia's schedule, who they've beat. How do you feel about how they look? I mean, if it were up to you, who do you think is the most dangerous team going into the playoff? Do you think it's Michigan?
At this point, yes, I do.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you.
Yeah, I do.
And I hope we get Michigan Georgia. That's the matchup we all want to see. That's the matchup we should have seen last year, right?
Yeah, true.
So, and I think Michigan's capable. I think Michigan could beat Georgia.
Uh, I think so too. I think uh, almost any of those top four guys can beat Georgia.
Yeah,
I really feel that way.
yeah. And
Georgia,
again,
Georgia's good, but they're not awesome.
yeah, I think they were better last year, right?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and 2 years ago even.
Yes.
They're definitely beatable, and I will guarantee that someone beats them, and I think it easily could be Michigan if they take care of business. If it's a Michigan Georgia national championship game, that'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And what do you think of all like the Jim Harbaugh stuff? Like, you think it was too much
Um,
punishment?
I actually think it was all nonsense.
Yeah,
I think it's a vindictive thing.
yeah,
It has nothing to do with the sport.
yeah,
That
politics, right?
it's more personal,
Yeah,
and that was the easy way out.
yeah,
I think he felt that he had the people with him, that even if he wasn't there, it wouldn't matter.
yeah,
So I think he just said, "Well, fine, well, I'll just sit out."
yeah.
I mean, he still has them all prepared and everything. He's just not there on the sideline.
And that honestly could play a factor in it, right? Those kids are going to be so fired up to play for him and to
Yeah,
win for him.
yeah,
Yeah, like it. Imagine winning the national championship after all the drama and being
yes,
dragged through the mud that they've had to deal with this year.
yes, yeah. But there'll be that little scar that everybody else that doesn't like Michigan
Yeah,
say, "Well, they cheated."
but meanwhile, you've got me and you, a Notre Dame fan and a Michigan State fan. That's like our biggest rival, and we're like, no, it's a bunch, it's overblown.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then so Michigan win the Natty, and then Jim, you can leave Michigan, and then you can go straight to the Bears, and then we're all happy.
Yeah, and I could see that happening. I don't know why he'd want to stick around after that,
Yeah,
unless the money is so big
yeah.
that he can't go.
I think he's leaving regardless. I just don't know if the Bears are smart enough to pay him. You know?
Yeah, I think he had his dream job, and so now all has been accomplished.
Yep.
Let's move on.
And
Wouldn't surprise me.
it'd be such a cool story for Jim Harbaugh to be coaching Justin Fields, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So, and then draft wide receiver Marvin Harrison Jr. and put him on that team.
Yeah.
I've got it all mapped out exactly
Absolutely. Yes.
how. um, yeah, I think Louisville, Florida State is going to be a really good matchup. Rooting, like, I'm rooting for Florida State. They're probably my second favorite team in college football, um, behind Michigan State, and with Jordan Travis going down the way he did, they're a fun story. And I know that they might not be the most competitive team without him, but go undefeated and no one can really say anything, right? Beat Louisville and you should be in the playoff.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I think so too.
Um.
And the numbers will reflect that. This when these championship games are done,
Yeah.
the number's going to respect those wins.
Yeah.
So um, that's what it's all about is winning. And that's what the numbers look like.
Do you think the numbers, if Georgia beats Bama, will that put Georgia number one in the numbers, or do you think number one will go to, like, if Washington beats Oregon, Washington might be number one.
Yeah, it'd be in my mind that it would be a toss up with Washington and Georgia.
Yeah.
Those are the two what I call serious games.
Yeah.
So yeah, but
Um.
this is the first chance the whole year that Georgia can impress the numbers enough
Uh huh.
to get to the top.
Yeah.
But whether they will or not, I don't know.
Yeah. Nice to see Liberty up at number nine in the numbers.
Kudos to an undefeated season. I mean,
Yeah.
absolutely. The numbers respect what they've done. They've played some decent teams,
Yeah.
and so you know I think that it's good to recognize them. I mean, they sure didn't get recognized much in the pollsters.
Yeah.
25 or 20th and 22nd
Yeah.
behind some four-loss teams, or I mean, really?
Yeah.
Um, and then of course they got where 20
20.
24th in the committee,
Yeah.
and behind I don't know four-loss teams or something. It's like, really, come on. I mean, I would take Liberty against some of those teams that they're below.
Oh yeah. Well, now you're saying Liberty, you would take Liberty over Notre Dame?
What'd you say?
I said now you're saying you would take Liberty over Notre Dame?
Uh, no, I personally wouldn't. Um, no, I mean, but there are some of them there that I would say they should be able to topple.
Yeah, and that's why we want the expansion, right? Just to see it, to
Yes,
see those matchups,
yes.
you know. So it'll be fun. So let's look back at these. So do you agree with? Do you think Oregon will beat Washington, and you would put Oregon in the playoff?
If Oregon wins,
Yeah,
yeah,
and then So I believe, let's say Oregon wins. Let me pull this up here again. I want to kind of do a scenario here. So let's say Oregon wins against Washington. So that puts Oregon in. Florida State should win. So I
Well,
think they get
let
in.
me stop you there a minute. The I think that Oregon would be in because the committee really likes Oregon.
Yeah,
Okay, so that wouldn't take much for them to push them up ahead of Washington, even
yeah,
though they have swapped losses.
yeah, exactly.
So, but yeah, I would say that they would move Oregon in and Washington out.
Yeah.
That's how I would see them do. Okay, so go ahead.
So yeah, I agree. It is a tough call, right? I agree with that, and I think they're gonna look at the Pac-12 championship game like a playoff game, like we talked about, and just put the
Yes,
winner in, right?
yes.
Um, I think so. Ideally, I think best case scenario, honestly, is for Bama to beat Georgia, though, because then I believe you get the four best teams. You get Bama, Georgia, and the winner of the Pac-12 and the winner of the Big Ten.
Yeah, uh, I think that Bama has more hurdles to get over.
Yeah,
I mean, they not only have to beat Georgia, but they got to get over Oregon and Texas and Florida State.
there's that bias though, right? If
Yes,
Alabama
yeah.
and then that strength of win, but if Alabama gives the committee the opportunity to put them in, I feel like they will, right?
If they was if Alabama was really to just beat them,
Yeah,
not just win the game, but beat them,
yeah,
I would say they would they'll get some nods by some of the committee members,
yeah,
and then you got the potential of them moving up.
yeah, and
So
I think they're gonna,
there's a way in for them.
yeah, I think they're gonna look at, they're gonna say that that's a big win over Georgia, against what most all those members are gonna say they believe Georgia's the best team or most of them. So
Right.
they're gonna give them that. They're gonna say Nick Saban based on coaching greatness and star power, and then they're gonna go by ratings, right? Which matchup gives us the best ratings? And they would love to put Bama in there, right?
Yes. And then it would be
So
then do they move Georgia out? Probably.
I think Georgia stays in,
Yeah, I
and
do
then
too. Yeah, I mean they're so hung up on Georgia, they would stay no matter what happens.
yeah,
Georgia's
I
in.
agree.
I think in their minds.
And that's where Florida State would get screwed, right? Florida State goes undefeated 13-0, but because the quarterback got hurt,
Yes, could
they
be.
would drop him out, and that's going to be a lot of controversy.
Yes. Yep.
So
Yep.
it's
I
going to be,
agree. You know, they're going to have some things to have to deal with.
yeah.
So
So if Bama wins, then I think the committee members will put Michigan number one, then Washington two. I think Georgia would drop to. Do you think Georgia drops to four and then Bama three, or does it go Georgia three and Bama four? That's interesting.
yes, yeah. You know, if Washington wins, they're going to be right where they are now, probably, or maybe move up. I don't know.
Yeah.
Um, but if Oregon knocks them out of there, Oregon barely gets in.
Well, yeah, it's a lot of what ifs, and I think
Yeah.
we'll have a better discussion on this next week
Yep.
once it's set. But as of right now, I believe in my opinion, the two best teams in college football are Michigan and Georgia, and I think that's who we see in the national championship game. And give me Michigan to beat Georgia, and I'm picking Michigan to win the national championship as of right now. and we'll see what happens this weekend, and then we'll make a more firm prediction on it next weekend. But it's going to be fun, and I can't wait to go. You know, d- uh, preview the playoffs, and then watch the playoff games, and then preview the national championship game and react to it. Those are going to be some fun episodes.
Yes. What you mentioned, what you said is Georgia and Michigan. I mean,
Yeah,
look at the polls and look at the selection.
yeah,
See who everybody wants to be in the championship game.
yeah, exactly.
That's exactly what you're saying.
Yep,
That's who everybody wants in there.
yep,
So if they both win, they probably will.
yeah.
I don't
And
see
then,
Washington or Florida State moving up around either one of them.
yep. And we'll see how this weekend goes, how much chaos will happen, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I just got to believe they're not all going to get through this without losing a game.
Someone's going to. I agree.
I
Whether it's Georgia, Washington, maybe even Florida State. I think the least likely is Michigan, but who knows? Maybe Michigan, you know?
yeah, that would be the least worrisome game. Uh,
Yeah,
but I think the rest of them, any one of them can win.
yeah, I agree. So it's going to be a really fun conference championship weekend. I'll be texting you, watching these games. I'm gonna watch them all, starting Friday night through Saturday night. I'm gonna watch them all because
Absolutely,
it's gonna be a lot of fun.
absolutely, yeah.
So,
I'm just sorry to see it running down. I'm only the thing that's nice about this part of it is there's still another next round.
yeah,
We still going to have our bowl games and all these other playoff games, and so we still got a couple of several weeks of more football.
absolutely. And the bowl games are some of my favorite, right? Right around the
Yeah,
holiday season, not a lot going on, and you get some sneaky, really fun bowl games. And when those are announced and we know who's playing, we'll go through and talk about each one of those too.
all right, that's good.
Yeah, that'll be fun. So I
Yeah,
look forward to, from here on out, we're gonna bring some more content here the rest of the season for this college football pod. And good to have you back on, Dean. And it's always fun, and we're still in for a lot of good football left.
yeah, we sure are. I appreciate being with you. It's a fun thing.
Yeah, and we're hoping to bring, do some rewatches coming forward and maybe get some interviews along the way as well. So we'll
Yeah,
keep you guys posted on that. Great stuff as always, Dean. And thanks for your time coming back on.
you bet. I sure appreciate you being willing to have me sit down and talk to you with it.
Absolutely. So appreciate all the support, guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment. Let us know who you think is going to be in the playoff, who's going to get left out, and who's your favorite to win the national championship. And if you believe, like me, Michigan or maybe Bama pulls the upset, we'll see. It's going to be a lot of fun. Thanks, and have a great week, guys. Peace out.